Hey everyone, welcome back to another awesome video in the channel. So in this video, I'll be teaching you how to build a Gen AI powered clothing store that I built it from scratch, and it's called as Threadz. So this is the initial homepage. It looks clean, minimal, and it's gonna give a premium feel to the user. Notice the animations towards the left hand side and on the center part, and we have a nice looking gradient in the background that really adds to the home screen. And once I press on shop, and boom, just like that, we are navigated to /products, where we can see all of the products of our website, that is both men and women categories. Correct? We can also filter based on men. Only men products are going to be shown, and if I filter based on women, only the women related categories are going to be shown. And we can also directly add items to the cart. So let's say I'm going to press on this specific product. Okay, and just like that, we are navigated to the product detail page. Here we can see the full portrait image, your color selector, and your size selector as well. Let's say I'm going to choose small size and then add to cart, and boom, just like that, our cart badge got updated, and we were also able to show the toast message to the user saying that the item is added to the cart. And once you press on the cart icon over here, we can try to have different kinds of quantity controls and the information about the products that is added. And you can only add items to the cart if and only if you are a user. That is, as you can see, I am logged in as Sujan, so that's the reason I am able to add items to the cart. Okay, the next and most important feature is the AI chat in this specific application. So once I press on this chatbot icon, and boom, just like that, we have a shopping assistant that is developed and built in with respect to the application. So it's not just chatting with this, it's gonna have information about all of our products in the database, and based on whatever query we ask, it's gonna search the database and it's gonna show us the products for us. Let's say I'm gonna enter a query. So I'm gonna say, hey, I have a date today, could you suggest some outfits for me as a male? I'm going to say enter, and it's loading, and boom, just like that, as you can see, it has given the proper response. So it says, great, let me put together some stylish state outfits ideas for you. So we have some smart casual, that is premium strip shirt. With the price, it's a navy blue, and along with that, baggy fit jeans and relaxed fit shorts, that's considered as an alternative. Okay, and dressed up if at all somewhere going fancy, this is the design it has given, that is the outfits. And next we have extra style points, that is add a jacket. It has given the suede bomber jacket with the price, and also along with that, it has also given all of the products that we have within our database. Okay, these are all the products within our store. So let's say I press on any product, it should go directly to that specific product, just like this, and you can directly try to add the items to the cart. Correct? And again, if you come back, the chat is going to be saved, and you can check out other products in the list as well. So let's say this is our jacket, it has given the result as, you can add this also to the cart, and you can directly try to place the order, and the order would be placed and stored, and your cart is again going to be empty. You can again start shopping for a new one. And similarly, you can also give a new different prompt even for females, that also is going to work. So I'm going to say, suggest me a female outfit for a date night, something like this. Enter. It should search the database and it should give us all of the required products. There you go, just like that, it has given us all of the products. You can go to the description, and again similarly, you can view it, and you can add items to cart, and we can view the cart as well and place the order. Once you press on this, it's going to be logged out. As you can see, now if the user is not in a logged in state, we're able to see the login button. Once you log in over here, we can try to log in, or we can try to register as well. Okay, so this is what we'll be building, and for the backend, we're going to be using your FastAPI, and for storing all of the details, the products, we're going to be using MongoDB. And if you really found this interesting, please hit the like button and do subscribe for more such content. Let's get started with the project right away. So first things first, let's understand in detail what exactly we are building. There is a tech stack, your system architecture, your prerequisites that is required for the project, and the architecture diagram as well. So I'm just going to head over to eraser.io over here. Okay, So as you saw in the demo part of the video, we are trying to build a clothing store and it's going to be a Gen AI project. So I've given the name as Threadz. So it's a full stack AI powered clothing store built from scratch. We're going to build it from scratch, right from starting point to the end point as a project over here. Okay, so it's going to be a typical e-commerce website where you can add items to cart and try to book the order. And along with that, we're also going to give a Claude powered chatbot to it, which is going to be using AI, and you can try to ask questions, and based on that it's going to give the responses based on our specific project. So let's say if you have a date for today and you're going to ask for suggestions, it's going to search through our database with all of the clothes that we have, and it's going to suggest outfits for male and female depending upon the question that you're going to ask for the chatbot. Okay, so this is going to be the flow basically. So user opens the browser, that's the website, and next is going to serve the UI to it. Okay, and frontend makes the REST API calls to your FastAPI. We're going to use FastAPI for the backend, that's Python. So that's going to be the URL over here, and FastAPI is going to query the MongoDB Atlas for product or users. So all of the details, that is your product details, user details, all of the addresses is going to be stored within MongoDB. Next, when user chats, the FastAPI fetches all the products from MongoDB and it's going to build a context string, sends it plus the user message to Claude via your Pydantic AI. Alright, and frontend renders both the AI text and clickable product cards with the images. You've already seen that in the demo part of the video. So next is going to be our tech stack. So for frontend, we're going to use Next.js 14 and then TypeScript and TailwindCSS for styling. Backend is going to be Python. Your backend where all of the details are going to be stored, that's your database, by the way. That's going to be MongoDB Atlas. Okay, and AI agent, it's going to be Pydantic AI plus Claude on the backend. That is the LLM which we're going to use. And auth, we're going to use bcrypt as well as Python JOS, JWT. And yeah, we're also going to use Axios. UI components, you can take a look at it. For containerization, if at all we have time, we can implement the Docker and Docker Compose. These are the prerequisites. Make sure you have Python installed onto your system. You can check Python -- version. I'm going to use this version for myself, and make sure Node.js is installed, and make sure to have a MongoDB Atlas account. It's pretty much free. We're not going to pay anything, so you can directly download or you can use it on the web itself. Okay, you just need a Google account for it. Then make sure you have a Anthropic API key. You can get the key at console.anthropic.com. Make sure to top it up with at least $5 and you can pretty much build around 15 to 20 projects easily. And yeah, I'm going to use VS Code for coding. Okay, so that's the understanding of the project in detail, and you can basically check out the architecture over here. Okay, we're going to have the front end as this thing. We're going to have your home page, your products page, product detail, login register, of course, that's important, your cart page, as well as the chat widget. Okay, next for the backend, we're going to have all of the APIs. That is for chatting with the AI. That's going to be chat API, your auth API, products API to show the products, your auth service, chat service. And for the backend, we're going to store all of these details. This is going to be the AI layer. We're going to have a Pydantic AI agent. Okay, that's going to be with respect to the system prompt, and we're going to use Claude Haiku for your LLM implementation. Okay, next you're going to have your product context. That's a catalog string from the DB, as well as these two things. Okay, so this is basically going to be our system architecture. So let's get started with the project right away. I'll be explaining everything from detail so you can easily build this up, and it's going to be a really good project to build along with. So yeah, the first step is to first step is I'm going to do the backend setup. So we're going to create a monorepo with two top level folders, that is going to be backend and frontend, inside a parent clothing store directory. Okay, so I'm going to create, first of all, I'm going to go into my build folder where all of my projects are present. Here I'm going to say mkdir clothing store. I'm going to give it a name. You can give any project name you want to give. I'm going to say clothing store AI. Let's first of all go into the clothing store AI. Here I'm going to create two folders. As of now, we are initializing the backend setup, so I'm just going to say mkdir backend and cd backend. First of all, I'm going to open up that folder that we just created. So file, open folder, go into the build, and then clothing store AI. So there you go. Just like that, we have created our backend folder over here. It's working properly fine. So the next and most important step is to set up the virtual environment and set up all of the dependencies as well. So we use a Python virtual environment. It's pretty simple to keep all the project dependencies isolated from the system Python, right? So this is considered as essential because without it, your packages installed globally can conflict with other projects. So whenever we are going to, initialize Python, that is backend, with any kind of application or project that we are building, it is necessary to use a virtual environment. Okay, so I'm going to create that. So I'm just going to say cd backend and python 3 -m venv and then venv. There you go, it got created. This is our virtual environment. Okay, now let's try to activate it. I'm just going to say source venv and then when activate, it should be activated over here, just like that. Now we are into our virtual environment. Now let's go and then install all of the dependencies for your backend part. So I'm just going to install it manually. So I'm just going to say pip 3 install. These are the first set of dependencies: FastAPI, UVCon, motor, python.env and then Pydantic AI. So yeah, let's give it a couple of seconds for the installation to complete. Okay, that's good. Next, the next set of dependencies, pip 3 install Anthropic, Pydantic as well as passlib of bcrypt. Install this as well. Done. Now the final set of dependencies, pip 3 install Python JOS of your cryptography and then Pydantic settings and then bcrypt. Okay, so I think there is a missing string. Let me just re-enter that, cut the server over here, clear, and then I'm going to say again pip 3 install this one. So the starting code was missing. There you go, it's already satisfied, it seems. Yeah, so this is done. So now the next step is to configure your environment variables. So basically all sensitive configuration lives within a .env file. You might already know it. So let's go and then create that. So onto the backend root level, I'm going to create a new file that's going to be .env. Okay, so as you can see, okay, it got created within your venv. Press on backend. Now I'm going to say .env. Okay, so here we're going to have your MongoDB underscore URL. That's going to be some value. Then we're going to have your DB name. That is going to be some value. Then your Anthropic API key. You can paste it over here. I'm going to paste it later. And we're going to have JWT secret. So now the next step is we're going to start writing our config. So within your backend folder, I'm going to create an app folder. Here it's going to have the core, new folder within app, and within the core we're going to have your config.py. Okay, so this code, whatever you're going to write within this function, is considered as your application's configuration. Okay, where all the environment variables and default settings are going to be present in a clean and secure way. Okay, so for that, first of all, onto the top, I'm going to say from your Pydantic settings, I'm going to import your base settings. So this basically reads values from the environment variables, that is the .env file. It also is going to validate their types as well. Next, we're going to try to create a settings class. So class settings of your base settings. Here I'm going to say mongo underscore URL. That's going to be of string. I'm going to define all of this. DB underscore name equals to, I'm going to say clothing underscore store. So based on our name, I'll be verifying that and then changing it if at all there is any difference. Anthropic API underscore key is going to be of string. Next we're going to have is your JWT secret, I'll be adding it just like this. Next, your JWT algorithm string equals to, it's going to be HS and then 256. Next, access token expire minutes, it's going to be of int and it's going to be 30 minutes. Okay, just a single equals to, here I'm going to say class config and env underscore file equals to, we need to pass on the path, that's going to be .env. And here finally your settings is going to be equals to settings. So yep, that's pretty much it. Alright, so let's understand how exactly it works internally. So suppose, let's say within your env file you have all of the values for this specific one, and when this runs, that is settings equals to settings, Pydantic creates an object that is going to look something like this. I'll be adding it over here. It's going to look just like this. Okay, so why use this instead of os.getEnv? So we have that method that is, we can directly import os, and for every time we can try to get os.getEnv of that specific key within the .env file. So instead of that, we can try to simply say settings dot your specific value whichever you want it. Okay, so as you can see, this is a cleaner way of writing the code, so that's the reason we are trying to implement it within a config file. Let's save the file. I'll be adding the link in just a bit once when we have everything set up. Alright, so now the next step is to set up the MongoDB backend. Let's head over to a new tab in Chrome. I'm going to search for mongodb.com and make sure you have a Google account. Sign in with Google. Okay, so I already have a project named as clothing store, so just scroll down. I'm going to say view all projects over here, and I'm going to press on the new project button, give it a name over here. I'm going to say clothing app over here, and apart from that, leave, let's write it clothing. Yeah, apart from that, leave everything as default and next over here. So as you can see, my email is the project owner email, so don't do anything over here. Create project. So now the next step is to create a cluster, so we can add the data over there. So here, make sure you leave everything as default, and I'm going to choose the free version because for a YouTube tutorial and for experimenting, this is more than enough. And I'm going to leave the Mumbai AP South one as default, and then I'm going to press on create deployment. So there you go. The next step is to set up the username and password. I'm going to leave my username and password as is. Press on create database user, and as you can see, the database user has been added to the project. Choose a connection method. I'm going to choose the third option, MongoDB for VS Code, and you can try to copy this down. Okay, we can keep it somewhere safe because that is our connection URL, or you can directly try to paste it over here within the .env file. So this part is done. So as you can see, I think the cluster is already created. So, and we also have the URL within us. So next, let's try to create the connection for the database. It's pretty simple. Again, let's come back to the code. Within the core, I'm going to say new file. Not over there. Press on core, new file. It is going to be database.py. So here we're going to write the function for connecting a front end to the back end. So I'm going to say from a motor underscore your async IO. I'm going to import your async IO motor client. That's going to be just like this. Next, from app.your.core.config, I'm going to import your settings. Let's try to initialize the client over here. So I'm going to say client, that's going to be async IO motor client equals to none. Okay, I'm going to say async define. I'm going to define a function that's going to be connect db. I'm going to have a global client over here. So client equals to async IO motor client of your settings dot your Mongo URL. Let's check if at all that's the correct spelling. It's MongoDB, by the way. Okay, next I'm going to have a print statement which is going to say connected to MongoDB. I'm also going to add a tick mark, that is an emoji icon. You can take a look at it. That is just like this. Okay, next I'm also going to define the close db method. So async define close db. I am going to say global client. If client is present, I'm just going to directly say client.close and print MongoDB connection is closed. Next here I'm going to say define get underscore your database. I'm going to say return client of your settings.db name. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let's try to save the file. Okay, so yeah, this part is done. We have written the functions for the database.py. So now the next step is let's look into setting up of the models. So that's the next important step. So within the app folder itself, I'm going to create a models folder, and we're going to have a couple of models, that is the user model as well as our product model. So press on app, new folder. I'm going to say models over here, new file. It is going to be product.py. And let's create a blank init.py as well. So yeah, let's come back to the product.py and let's define the model for this. It's pretty simple. So onto the top, I'm going to say from Pydantic import your base model. Okay, and from your typing, I'm going to import optional as well as your list. Then from your basin, import your object ID. Let's try to define the class. That is going to be your product base of your base model. And here we're going to define all of the attributes within the product base. We're going to have a name and description string. Your price is going to be float. Next category, it's going to be string. Your brand is also going to be string. Sizes is going to be list of string. Colors is going to be list of string as well. Image underscore URL is going to be string. The stock for that specific item int. Rating we're going to have, it's going to be float equals to 0.0. Next we're going to have a class that's going to be product create. So product create of your product base. All right, then I'm just going to say pass over here. Next is going to be class product response of your product base. ID is going to be of string, and class config. Here I'm going to pass on from attributes is going to be true. Let's try to save the file. That's pretty much it. So what does product base do? It defines the common fields for a product, that is your name, price, description, etc. And product create is used when creating a new product. So this basically inherits all the fields from your product base. So that's the reason I've just written it as pass over here. Okay. Next is product response. So this is considered to be used when sending product data block to the client. Okay, and it adds a new field that is going to be a ID field. So next, what does from attributes equals to true? So this means that this allows Pydantic to create the response model from objects like your MongoDB models instead of only dictionaries. Alright, so this part is done, that is for creating the product model. Let's move on to the next step, that is to seed the database, correct? So here we are going to try to seed around 30 predefined products within our store. Let's say 15 men products and 15 women products, and each product is going to have a name, a description, price, category, brand, gender, your sizes array, color of the product, and all of these important items or important attributes for that specific product. So I'm just going to add the code for that. You can access the code in the description. Okay, so I'm going to create a new file that is going to be c.py. It's going to be a long product. It's going to be a long page with all of the required details. So onto the root level for the backend, I'm going to say seed.py and paste in the code over here. There you go. I've just added all of the code. It contains a lot of products, about 30, with all of these details. So each product is going to have a name, the description for the product, what is its price, and what the category it is in, either jackets or jeans or shorts or women categories, something like that. Okay, and gender is going to be men, and the image URL for that specific item, and the sizes also that is available, and the colors that is available, and stock quantity as well as the rating. So we also have the women category as well. You can take a look at it. Okay, and I've written a small function which is called as seed. It is gonna first of all access the DB name. Okay, and it's gonna create the product in that specific DB. That's it. This is the function for it. And once that's done, I'm just gonna run the async io.run of seed. And onto the top, I'm just going to try to access the MongoDB URL over here and a DB name that's going to be clothing_store. So yeah, let's actually verify over here as well. That is your .env, and let's try to enter the name. I'm just going to see DB name is going to be equals to clothing_store. Okay, so the seed file is ready. So to access the data, the link is in the description. You can take a look at it. And yeah, let's try to run the seed. Okay, it's going to be pretty simple. Python 3 your c.py, enter, and boom, just like that, it's going to clear all of the existing products and inserted 31 products into MongoDB. We can verify that as well. Come back over here. I'm going to come back to my previous project. That's going to be clothing app. This is the one. Let's verify within our cluster and browse collections. Let's check out our clothing store. That's the DB name, and boom, just like that, we should be able to see all of the products. There you go. Documents, we have 31 documents. All of the details are present in the backend now. So we have successfully seeded the database with all of our product images and the other details as well. So now this step is done. Now let's move on to the next step, that is phase 2, to write all of the backend API routes. The first thing that we're going to write is the products API. So we can come back to the coding bit again, and within the app, I'm going to create a new folder that is going to be for the routes. So I'm going to say app routes. Let's write the correct spelling for this, rename. Within the routes, we're going to have a products.py file. Okay, so yeah, let's start writing the code for this. So here we're gonna import the FastAPI. So I'm gonna say from FastAPI import your API router as well as HTTP exception, and from app.core.database import your get database function that we have defined, and from basin import your object ID, and from your typing import optional. Let's try to create the router. That's the simplest step. Starting point, so router is going to be equals to API router. I'm going to pass on the prefix that is going to be, it's going to be for /products. I'm also going to pass on the tags that is going to say products over here. Now I'm going to define a helper function that is going to be serialize products. Okay, I'm going to say define serialize underscore products of a product Okay, so what does this do? So this basically converts your MongoDB's underscore ID. So there is a field called as underscore ID for each document. This converts it into a string ID and removes the underscore ID before sending the response. That's pretty much it. Let's define that. So I'm going to say product of your ID equals to string of product of underscore ID. Here I'm going to say delete product of underscore ID, and I'm going to say return product. That's it. Next I'm going to have in the router dot get of forward slash. Here I'm going to say async define get underscore your products and pass on the category. I'm going to say optional of string equals to none. So this endpoint is pretty self-understanding. What does this do? This creates a get endpoint to fetch all of the products from the backend. First of all, let's try to initialize the DB. I'm going to say DB is going to be equals to get database. Okay, and here I'm going to say your query equals to an empty object, and if category, I'm going to say query of category equals to your category, and here I'm going to say your products equals to await db dot access the products collection. So go into that just like this, dot find, pass on the query, dot to underscore list of 100. I'm going to say return the serialized products of P, not like this. I'm going to say for every PN products. That's how we write it. Okay, so this basically retrieves your 100 matching products from MongoDB. That's the reason we've written it as to list of 100. And basically this formats every product before returning it. Next, we also have the endpoint for getting the information of a specific product, that is for a specific ID. So I'm going to say router dot get, it's going to be forward slash your product ID let's go and then define this async define get underscore your product of your product underscore ID. That's going to be a string. Let's again try to initialize the DB. That's going to be equals to get database, and your product equals to await db dot go into the products dot apply the find method, find one method. So it should match your ID, that is going to be object ID of your product ID. And if not found, so I'm going to say if not product, I'm going to raise HTTP exception with a status code of 404. I'm going to say detail equals to product is not found. Okay, next here I'm just going to say return your serialized products of that specific product. It's going to be a single detail. So yes, we have completed writing down the code for your backend APIs, that's with respect to the products. Next, this part is done. We can try to get so yeah, this part is done. So now we can actually move on to the next step, that is for the auth API. We're going to have two endpoints, register endpoint as well as a login endpoint, and we're going to use the bcrypt for password hashing and Python JOS for JWT token creation. So yeah, let's get into that. So I'm going to create a auth.py within my routes folder. So routes, I'm going to say new file auth.py. So first of all, let's also finish writing down the models for the user. That's pending, we have not written that. So I'm going to say models and then user.py. So from Pydantic, I'm going to import your base model and your email string, and from typing I'm going to import optional. Let's say class user register of your base model. Name is going to be of string. Email is going to be of email string. Password is going to be of string again. Next, I'm going to say class user login. We just need two things to log in over here. Again, of the base model. Email is going to be your email string, and your password is going to be of a normal string. So just try to add it over here. Next, I'm going to say class user response of your base model. ID is going to be string. Name is again going to be of string. Email is also going to be of string. Next is the token response that comes back for each register or each email implementation. So write down for that as well. Base model, it's going to have an access token of string, and your token type string. That's going to be a bearer token, by the way. So I'm going to say bearer. User is going to be your user response. Let's try to save the file. Okay, this step is done. Now we can come back to the auth.py and we can start importing all of the required things. So now onto the top, I'm going to import all of the required things. These things are required. So I think also we're going to need some more functions, that is some methods. I mean your hash password, your verify password, as well as create access token, because even that is going to be used over here. So we can try to create all of these now itself. So within the services, I'm going to create a new folder, backend app services. It is going to be auth underscore service.py. So this file is going to be pretty simple. We're going to write basic functions itself, that is how to hash a password, how to verify password, and few methods to create access token as well as decode token. So onto the top, from date time, I'm going to import date time and your time delta, and from JOS I'm going to import JWT. Also try to import your bcrypt as well, and from app.co.your config, import your settings. That's it. Let's define the first method. It's going to be hash password. I'm going to say password is going to be of string, salt equals to bcrypt dot gensalt. I'm just going to say return bcrypt dot, we have the hash password function, use that. Within this, I'm going to say password dot encode. It's going to be UTF-8. Pass on the salt value over here. Dot decode of UTF-8. That's how we hash the password. Now let's write the function to verify. Again, we're going to use the bcrypt function itself. So I'm going to say define verify password. It's going to take in the plain password as string and your hashed password as well. Of string, it's going to return a bool, true or false. Return your bcrypt dot, we have the check password method. I'm going to say plain dot your encode of UTF-8 comma your hashed dot encode of your UTF-8. So this would either give a true or false depending upon if at all the user has entered the correct password or not. Next, I'm going to write it down for the create access token. You can take a look at it. So that's how we do it for the create access token. So this would basically try to return the access token. Next, I'm going to write it down for the decode token. So decode underscore token. of token of string, and here I'm going to say dictionary return gwt dot decode of your token comma settings dot gwt underscore secret. So also pass down your algorithms over here, that is going to be equals to let's say settings dot your gwt underscore algorithm. So yep, that's pretty much it. Let's try to save the file. These are all of the functions or methods that we're going to use within the auth.py. So now let's come back to the auth.py and also import the services that we just wrote. That's going to be this one. Okay, let's again try to create the router. It's pretty simple. Router is going to be equals to API router. Prefix is going to be /auth. Okay, and pass on the tags as well. So tags is going to be auth over here. Next I'm going to say add router dot, it's going to be your post method, and I'm going to say register comma response model equals to your token response. Okay, async define, try to implement the register function. It's going to take in the user of type user register. Initially db equals to get database. First we're going to check if at all email already exists. That's the simplest step. I'm going to check existing equals to await db dot users dot find underscore one with respect to the email. I'm going to say user dot email, and if existing is true, I'm going to say raise http exception and pass on the status code. That's going to be 400, and detail is going to be email already registered. Okay, next step is to try to create the user. I'm going to say new user equals to name, that is going to be your user dot name, email, that is going to be your user dot email, password, that is going to be your hash password of the user dot password. So that's how we try to create a new user. So next I'm going to create a result variable over here. I'm going to say result equals to await db.users.insert one of the new user, and next user underscore id equals to string of result dot your inserted underscore id. Okay, let's also try to create a token. So token is going to be equals to create access token, that's going to be user underscore id, and your email is going to be user dot email. Let's try to return the token response. Okay, access token is going to be equals to your token, and user is going to be equals to user response, id equals to your user underscore id, name equals to your user dot name, email is going to be equals to your user dot email. So that's pretty much it. So now let's go ahead and then write the next function, that is going to be the login function. So again, going to be pretty simple itself. So next over here I'm going to say add router dot post, it is going to be /login. Let's define the response model. It's going to be again token response. Okay, here I'm going to say async define login, pass on the credentials, that is going to be user login. Let's say db is going to be equals to get database. Let's first of all try to find the user. Okay, there is a issue over here. Let's add the colon. So find user equals to await db dot we have users dot, I'm going to say find one email, that is going to be credentials dot email. If not user, I'm going to say raise HTTP exception, and status code is going to be equals to 401, and detail is going to be equals to invalid email or password. Okay, next step is to actually verify the password if all it's correct or not. I'm going to check if not, verify password of your credentials dot password, comma, with respect to the user dot password. Then in this case also raise HTTP exception, status code 401, detail, I'm going to say invalid email or password. Next, user underscore ID equals to string of user of underscore ID, token equals to create access token, sub user underscore ID, also the email, that is going to be user of email, and let's try to return the token response as we have done it previously. Access token is going to be equals to your token, correct? User equals to your user response. It's going to take in three things: ID, name, and then your email. So ID is going to be simple, user underscore ID, name equals to user of your name, email equals to user of email. So that's pretty much it. So we have written the complete code for your register endpoint as well as the login endpoint. So we are good to go. Let's try to save the file. You can take a look at it. So we are, essentially done with the APIs with respect to the auth, that is register as well as login. So now we can move on to the next one. That's going to be for the AI chatbot API, as you saw in the demo part of the video. So it's going to be the most interesting part of the backend. Okay, so the chatbot service uses your Pydantic AI to create an agent that wraps Claude, and every time a user sends a message, we are going to fetch all of the 30 products from MongoDB, build a plain text product catalog, string with name, category, price, colors, and all other details, and we're going to send the combined message to Claude through Pydantic AI agent. Okay, so let's go ahead and then implement this. So within your services, I'm going to create a new one that is going to be chat underscore service dot py, and let's start writing the code for this one. So onto the top, I'm going to import some required dependencies. So let's import your Pydantic modules as well as settings and get database from the required files. So I'm going to say from your Pydantic AI, I'm going to import agent. Next, from Pydantic underscore AI dot models dot your Anthropic, I'm going to say import your Anthropic model. Next, from your Pydantic AI messages, import all of these things. Okay, next, from your app.core.config, I'm going to say import your settings, and from app.core.your database, I'm going to import get underscore database, also import your OS as well. So first of all, I'm going to set OS dot environ of your Anthropic underscore API underscore key equals to your settings dot your Anthropic API key. Okay, I'm going to choose a specific model. So model equals to Anthropic model. I'm going to say Claude Haiku 4.5. So let's try to create the agent. So here your agent equals to agent. This is going to take in the model, that is the model which you're going to use, and your system prompt. I'll be defining the system prompt, you can take a look at it. So there you go, I've just pasted in the system prompt. So we're going to say you are a helpful shopping assistant for a clothing store. You help customers find products, suggest outfits, answer questions about sizing, and provide personalized recommendations. And we're going to say be friendly, concise, and helpful. And when suggesting products, always mention the exact product name from the catalog that we have. Okay, and at the end of the response, we're going to add a line that is products with all of the required products. So now next we're going to define a function that is going to be get product context. So it's pretty simple. It's going to fetch all of the products from the MongoDB. Let's write down the function for that. I'm going to say async define get underscore product underscore context. That's going to be a string. Initially try to get the database. So db equals to get database. Initialize your products variable equals to await db dot go into the products dot apply the find method and to list. I'm going to say up to 100 we are going to get the values. Next over here I'm going to say context equals to available products in our store. So we have added the context over here because this actually starts building a text summary of the product catalog. So now I'm going to loop over it. So for that I'm going to say for p in product. Let's try to do that first. I'm going to say for your p in your products. Let's try to set the context and then return the context over here. That is going to be just like this. Okay, I've added it for each of the things. So what we are trying to do for every product, it's going to append each product's name, category, price, then your colors, and then size, gender, okay, to the context. That's what we're trying to do it over here, and I'm directly going to say return the context. So yeah, next function is important. That's going to be your chat function. So this is the main function that processes a customer's message. All right, let's define that. I'm going to say async define chat message of string, next conversation history, that is going to be of list, and here I'm going to say product context equals to await get product context, call that function that we just defined. And here initially I'm going to set my full message equals to your product message as well as customer messages equals to the message that is from the string over here, from the parameter. And I'm also going to have the history. So I'm going to say setup history, that's going to be equals to an empty array. So this basically creates a list to store all the previous conversation messages. Okay, so your full message means it combines the product catalog with the customer's message before sending it to the AI. So product context is pretty simple. It is going to be this one, and this is going to get all of the list of products in the backend. Okay, this part is done. So now I'm going to say for message in conversation history if msg of role equals to user, I'm going to say history dot append of model request, and here I'm going to say parts equals to, I'm going to say user prompt part, your content is going to be equals to your message of content. Okay, so that should be basically a parenthesis and not a square bracket. That is this point. You can try to fix that up. I'm going to say elif if at all your role is of your assistant, role equals to assistant. Then over here I'm going to say your history dot append, it's going to be a model response, and yeah, your parts equals to your text part, content equals to message of content. Okay, so here basically your model request is gonna convert the previous user message into the format that is expected by the Pydantic AI. So similarly, model response is gonna convert the previous AI responses to the required format. So yeah, that's it. So now I'm gonna say agent.run. So I'm gonna say result equals to await agent dot, I'm gonna say run. It's going to take in your full message as well as your message conversations, sorry, message history. So message history equals to your history, and full underscore response equals to your result dot output. That's it. Okay, so this basically is going to store the AI's complete reply. Now next step is to extract the product names from the products. So I'm going to say product names equals to an empty array, and lines is going to be equals to full underscore response dot apply the split, and then /n clean lines equals to empty. Next, for line in lines, I'm going to check if line dot strip dot your starts with products, then here your name equals to all of your product names equals to line dot replace of products with empty dot strip, and your product names is going to be equals to this. You can take a look at it. Else I'm just going to say your clean lines dot append of the line. Here I'm going to say clean response equals to new line dot join, it's going to be clean lines dot strip. I'm going to return your clean response as well as your product names. Let's try to save the file. Okay, so what does basically agent.run do is it's gonna send the prompt and the conversation history to your Claude AI. Okay, and it's gonna get back a response from it, and we're gonna store that response within your full response. Next, we're gonna try to create a list to hold the recommended product names. That's the reason we are initializing an empty array, and the same thing, once it is pre-filled, we're gonna return that to the front end part. Okay, and over here within your if condition, that is, we're going to say if line in lines, I mean if line dot strip dot starts with products. Over here it's going to detect the line containing the recommended product names, and it's going to extract each product name into a list. Okay, else we're just going to say keep all the normal response lines and remove the products. So that's pretty much it. And finally we're going to join the clean response back into a single string with the help of the join method. So yeah, that's it with respect to the AI chatbot. Now we are almost done with the backend part. So now let's head back into the front end part of the application. Okay, and let's set up the required things. So yeah, now let's head over to the front end part. That is, okay, front end is already there, my bad. So we need to first of all create a project. So yep, let's go do that. Okay, because only now your backend is set up, correct? So within your main project store, that is clothing store AI, here I'm going to say npx create next app. Okay, at latest I'm going to pass on the project name, that's going to be front end, such that all of the details, that is files and folders, are going to be within the front end folder. Okay, I'm going to press on enter. Yes. Okay, I'm going to choose the default settings, that is yes, use recommended defaults, and then I'm going to press on enter. So this should take about a couple of minutes for the project to get initialized. So let's wait for some time, and once after that, all of the files and folders should be present within the front end folder. Okay, there you go. It says success, created front end at this specific location, and even if you come back over here, you should be able to see a front end folder. There you go. Just like that, all of the Next.js utilities and files and folders have been created for us within the front end folder. You can also try to run the front end. So I'm going to say yarn run dev, and you should be able to open it up. There you go. Just like that, our front end is running on localhost 3001. Yeah, this is working properly fine. So now the next step is, in the front end, we're gonna set up our API client. So we're gonna use Axios to make all of the calls. So this api.ts file is going to set up a central Axios instance that automatically is going to attach the durability token to every request. So let's go ahead and then define that. So I'm going to come back to my front end and create a lib folder if it's not present. So come back over here, front end, lib, new file, that is going to be api.ts. So make sure to install Axios onto the front end part. So I'm going to say cd front end yarn add Axios, enter. So yeah, while this is installing, let's try to set up our API file. So I'm going to say import your Axios from Axios. Next, I'm going to set up my instance. So const API equals to, we have the Axios dot create method. So pass on that. This is going to take in two things, your base URL as well as the headers. I'm not sure why it got stuck in between. So it's going to be http 127.0.0.1/8000. That's why your FastAPI is going to run. Okay. Next, I'm going to say your headers is going to be content type application/JSON. So yeah, I think it's almost done. 445 out of 446. Yeah, I think now it's pretty fast. Hopefully it should be done now. There you go, got installed. Yeah, so after this, the next step is to attach every token to every request, as I told, if it is available. So we're going to do that with the help of the interceptors. I'm going to say api.interceptors.request.use. For every config, I'm going to first of all take const token equals to your local storage.getItem of your token, and if at all your token is present, then I'm going to say config.headers.authorization equals to bearer $token, and here I'm going to say return config. That's it. Okay, and here itself I'm just going to say export my default API, and let's also try to write down the functions now itself, that is for getting products, register, login, and then send the chat message. All right, so here I'm going to say export const get products. This in turn is going to take in the category of string, so let's write that properly, equals to category That's basically an optional value, by the way. Here I'm going to say access the same API dot get. It's going to be / products. Okay, and your params is going to be category, else it's going to be an empty value. That's it. So that's the function for get products. Next, I'm going to write the function for get product by ID. So that's going to get the information of a specific product. So export const get product equals to, it's going to take in an ID of string. Here I'm going to say API.get. It's going to be / products and your $ID. That's it. Next, for register, I'm going to write it down. Export const register equals to data. Here name, 3 things are required for registering: name, email, and then password. So name, email, and password of string. Here I'm going to say API.post. It's going to be with respect to / auth and then / register, and pass on the data. That's it. Now next I'm going to add it for the login. You can take a look at it. So export const login equals to, again similarly as we have done it for the register, taking the data. For logging in we need 2 things, email and password, and this is going to be the route. So that's going to be auth and then login. Next over here I'm going to say export const send chat message equals to a message that is going to be of string and history that is going to be of any. And here I'm going to say API.post. It's going to be again similarly / chat. It's going to take in 2 things, your message as well as your history. Okay, so that's pretty much it. We have written all of the helper functions that we're going to use within the front end part to design this. Next is the implementation of the state management. That is, you're going to use Zustent for this. So you're going to have 2 Zustent stores. Both are going to be persisted to local storage so that state is going to survive when the page reload happens. First step is, let's try to implement your auth store. Hopefully Zustent is installed. Let's verify that. Okay, it's not there. So yarn add, I'm going to say Zustent, enter. So this is installed. So I'm going to create a store, by the way, onto the root level of the front end folder. So I'm going to say over here front end, new folder. I'm going to say over here stores, new file. I'm going to create a auth store.ts. Let's start writing the code for this. It's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to say interface user. It's going to have an ID of string, name is going to be of string, email again string. Next, okay, they should come below this. Interface auth store, user is going to be of user or null. Next, okay, that should be a semicolon. It's going to have a token as well. That's going to be string or null. Next, set auth. So user, okay, I missed the colon. Yeah, it's going to be user and of type user, token of string. It's going to be of type void. Next is a logout method. Over here I'm going to say void. Okay, so next let's try to define our use auth store. So use auth store equals to create method from Justin, import it, pass on the type, it's going to be of type auth store. Here I'm going to say persist, import it from Justin middleware. So taking the set value and at the initial point, let's pass on the values. User is going to be null, even your token is also going to be null. And for set auth method, it's going to take in the user and the token and set it into local storage. I'm going to say local storage dot set item. It's going to be with respect to the token and the token. I'm going to say set your user comma token. That's it. Next we're going to have is your logout method. It's going to be pretty simple. Local storage dot remove item of token and set the user to be of null because the user is considered to be logged out. Token also null. That's it. And finally over here, let's pass on the name. That is going to be auth storage. Okay, that is going to be just like this. Let's try to save the file. So we have written the code for the auth store. That's pretty much it. So we are also going to have one more store, that's going to be the cart store. If you remember, we also have adding items to cart, removing items from cart, even that is present. So let's go ahead and then write the code for that as well. It's going to be pretty simple. We're going to have just a few methods like add item, remove item, update quantity, clear cart, and get the total items from the cart. So this also I'm going to write it now itself, so that while designing it becomes easier and we need not come back and design this again. So I'm going to say cart store.ts initially interface cart item, ID is going to be of string, name is going to be of string, price is going to be of number, image underscore URL is going to be of string, quantity is going to be of number. That's it. Let's define the interface cart store. Now I'm going to say interface cart store, items is going to be of cart item. Next I'm going to say add item is going to be product of cart item, that's going to be void. Next remove item, here I'm going to have an ID of string, here I'm going to say void. Next is update quantity, ID is going to be string and quantity is going to be number, okay, of void. Clear cart, here again it's going to be a void, and finally the total, it's going to be of number. Now let's try to define our use cart store. So here I'm going to say export const use cart store equals to create method from Justin. This is the one. Pass on the type, that's of cart store. Again use your persist method, import it from Justin middleware, take in the set and get methods. Let's pass on the initial values. Items is going to be a empty array. Next for add item, I'm going to take in my product, and here I'm going to say const items equals to get dot items. I'm going to first of all check if at all any existing item is present or not. So for that I'm going to say const existing equals to items dot find. For every value, check if I dot id equals to the product dot id. If your existing is there, just try to keep that product and then increase the quantity by 1. So I'm going to say set items is going to be equals to items.map. For every value I'm going to check if at all I.id equals to your product dot id. Then next over here I'm going to say keep the I spread it, but the quantity is going to be equals to I dot quantity plus 1, else it is going to be I itself. That's it. Else if at all the product is not present and we're adding it for the first time, set the items over here just like this. Okay, that's it with respect to the add item method. Next is with respect to remove item. It's going to take an ID, by the way, that is ID of the product to remove. So set items, that's going to be your get dot items dot easily apply the filter method in JavaScript. For every value your I dot id should not be equals to your id. That's it. Next is with respect to the update quantity. So I'm going to say update quantity, it's going to take in the id and then quantity. Here I'm going to say set items is going to be your get dot items dot map. For every I I'm going to check if my I dot id equals to id. Then over here keep the I and the quantity, else it is going to be I itself. And finally I'm going to add it for the clear cut as well as the total. You can take a look at it. That's going to come right below this one. So clear cut means just set the items to be of empty, and total means just simply use the reduce method in JavaScript. So I'm going to say get dot items dot reduce and just bring it to a single value, that is going to be this one. I'm going to say first of all sum, that's initially set to 0 dot I dot price multiplied by I dot quantity, and let's also pass on the name over here. I'm going to say cart storage over here. Save. Okay, you can check it out from the topmost part if at all you have messed up something. So yeah, that's the basic cart store. Now we're going to start building the front end page. Okay, so you have already seen the front end page. It's going to look something like this. We have some unique animations over here and a nice looking nav bar and a central main nav or the main content, and we have some shop by category designs. We're going to build that as well. Okay, that's going to be the first step. So yep, let's go and then design that. So I'm going to install a package known as Lucid React. I'm going to say yarn add Lucid React. This would give access to all of the icons that we're going to use. So let's come back to the page.tsx. So front end, go into the app router and then page.tsx. This is the main page. I'm going to remove everything as of now, including this, and I'm going to verify if at all it's being changed. Come back over here to Chrome. There you go, reload. Okay, so I think there is another instance running that's on 3000. I'm just going to cut that out and then come back. Alright, let's try to reload this. Cut the server and then yarn and def. Now it should run on 3000. There you go. That's looking good. Okay, the code for this is still present. Cut the main. There you go. We are back to empty screen. We should make it look just like this. Alright. So yeah, for the div, so instead of this, you're gonna have the main tag, by the way. Pass on the class name for this. That is gonna be min height of screen, bg white, overflow is gonna be hidden. So this is gonna be the hero section where all of the icons are gonna be added. Let's try to have in a section tab or section tag. Within that a div. This is going to be relative, by the way. Z index is 0, width full, py of 24, overflow is going to be visible. Within the div, I'm going to add in all of my icons over here. First of all, let me import it from your Lucid React. Okay. And for the div, I'm going to, provide in the class name, it's going to be absolute positioning. Insert is going to be 0, a negative z index of 10. Pointer events is going to be none. It's going to be hidden on your small screens and medium, and from large it's going to be block. Width of full, height of full as well. Save the file. Okay, so now let's try to render the icons and you should be able to see it. So for every icon I'm going to add it. It's going to be similar styling, but the animation delay is going to be different. You can take a look at it. So there you go. I've just added in the code, and for each of the class name it's going to be absolute, and float 1, float 2, float 3 until, it's going to be float 1, float 2, float 3, and then float 4, then again float 1, and then float 2. Okay, so this is going to remain different. Left is different for each of the things, and animation delay also varies. Save the file, and there you go. Just like that, it's going to come like, in this way, and same thing goes over here. As you can see, that's looking fine. So now the next step is, for your centered content, let's try to design this. So below the section, below the div, I'm going to have in one more piece of div. Within that, I'm going to have in your gradient kind of design. So I'll be adding that. You can take a look at it. Okay, so we're going to have some animations, opacity, animation delays with respect to this style. So basically the central part, as you can see, there is some kind of gradient that's applied. That is going to be designed over here. Okay, so for the outer div, I'm going to say class name. It is going to be relative, max width of 6xl, mx is going to be auto, py of 6, flex, and then flex is going to be call, item center, text is also going to be center. Save the file, and just like that, as you can see, now it's looking really crisp and clean, right? So now we're going to have the text which is going to say AI powered shopping. So below this div, I'm going to have a span, by the way, which is going to say AI powered shopping. Pass on the class name for this. It's going to have text of XS, uppercase. Your tracking is going to be widest, text gray of 400, MB is going to be a 4. Okay, next I'm going to have a h1 tag. Within that, I'm going to have a span, which is going to say dress for the. I'm going to have a br tag and one more span below this. You can take a look at this. h1, I'm going to say text is going to be of 6xl, and font is going to be of bold, text of block, leading is going to be tight, MB is going to be 6. And then over here, I'm going to say class name is going to be inline block. Okay, let's try to save the file. Let's check out our UI, and boom, just like that, as you can see, it's looking super clean. Let's change the spelling, so it should be for. Okay, there you go. That's looking pretty nice. Okay, so now the next step is, below your h1, I'm going to have a p tag, which is going to say discover curated clothing with an AI assistant that helps you find exactly what you need. Let's pass on the class name for this. It's gonna be, text gray of 500 and text of LG, max width of medium, MV is gonna be 10. Let's check that out. There you go. That design is looking pretty neat. Okay, so this is looking fine. Next, we're gonna have your shop now button that's gonna be coming right below the p tag. I'm gonna be making use of a link for this. So import link from next link. This is gonna expect href. It is gonna be /products. Here it's gonna be shop now with a arrow right icon from Lucid React. I'll be adding that over here. So it's gonna be just like this, and for the link I'm gonna provide in the class name. It's gonna be group, then flex items is gonna be center, gap of 2, bg is gonna be black, and text of white, px of 8, py is gonna be 4, rounded is gonna be full. Okay, and then text of sm, font of medium. It's going to be a lot of styles for this. If I hover over it, it's going to be bg gray of 800. Transition is going to be all, and I'm going to say hover scale as well as pulse grow. You can take a look at this. Save the file. Let's check it out. Just like that, is looking super clean. Okay, so yeah, this part is done. So now the next step is to show your category section, which is going to say shop by category. So below your sections tag, I'm going to have in one more piece of section, having a h2 tag, which is going to say shop by your category. For the section, I'm going to again provide in a max width of 6xl. mx of auto, px of 6, pb is going to be 24. For h2, I'm going to say class name, text of 2xl, font is going to be bold, mb is going to be 8. Next, I'm going to say div over here, and I'll be mapping through a bunch of values that you saw online. I mean over here, by the way. So just try to add in all of this array of strings for every category. I'm gonna basically render a link just like this and show the cat over here. For this one, I'm going to say key is going to be cat itself, href, make use of backticks. It's going to be going into the products category if present equals to $category. That's it. Okay, for the div, I'm going to add in the styling. It's going to be in a grid, by the way. So grid calls of 2. From the medium screen onwards, I'm going to say grid calls of 4. A gap of 4 as well. Save the file, and there you go. So this needs to be done like this. We need to give the style for the link. So class name for this, it is going to be bg gray of 50, rounded of 2xl, some internal spacing, padding of 6, text of center, hover, I'm gonna say bg gray of 100, transition is gonna be colors. Okay, next I'm gonna say capitalize, font is gonna be medium, and text gray of 700. Save the file, and boom, just like that. As you can see, it looks super clean and crisp. Correct? So this part is done. So now we can move on to the next step, that is to show the products part of it. So we're going to have a products and then page.tsx where all of the products are going to be shown. Let me just create that. So come back to the app router, a new folder by the way, that is going to be products, new file page.tsx. We are also going to have a ID. This is for the product ID page, that is to show information of each product. I'm going to say ID just like this. Within this again a page.tsx. Now let's get into designing the product screen. That's the next step. So I'm going to first of all define my interface product over here. It's gonna have a ID of string, name of string as well. Price is gonna be of number. Next category is gonna be of string. Brand is also gonna be of string. Next your image URL of string again, and rating is gonna be of number. Colors is gonna be again array of string. Next sizes is gonna be again array of string as well. Gender string. Here let's define the function that is going to be products content, and first of all I'm going to have in the state to hold the products. So I'm going to say const products comma set products equals to use state of type product. So this should be capital by the way. That is going to be just like this. Okay, next is for const loading comma set loading equals to use state of true. Const search params equals to your use search params imported from next underscore navigation, and I'm gonna set up my category. That's gonna be equals to your search params would get of category or empty string. Next is for the gender filter by the way. So const gender filter comma set gender filter equals to use state. Initially it's going to be set to all. Here let's try to define your use effect. That is going to be dependent upon the category, and I'm going to define a fetch products function. So fetch products equals to a async function. Initially set your loading to be of true and have in your try catch block. So try catch of error, I'm going to say console.error of error. Finally set your loading to be of false. Within your try block I'm going to say const result equals to await get products imported from the lib API and pass on the category for this. And once you have the details, set products to be of the result.data. Next I'm gonna have the filtered products over here based on the gender filter, whatever is chosen over here, correct? I'm gonna make use of the return and then main. Save the file. Let's try to log the products and also call the fetch products over here. Okay, I don't think it's gonna work because we have not yet run the backend folder. That is missing. We need to write the code within the main.py, correct? So I'm gonna say backend app main.py. So here I'm gonna set up my FastAPI code. So from FastAPI import FastAPI, then from FastAPI.middleware.cors import your cors middleware, and from your context lib import async context manager. You can take a look at this. I've also imported ConnectDB as well as CloseDB. And from app.routes, import your products, comma auth, comma your chatbot. Here I'm going to say add async context manager. I'm going to say async define lifespan, pass on the app, and then FastAPI. I'm going to say await connect DB, then yield, then close the DB. So now next I'm going to say app equals to FastAPI. Let's say the title over here. I'm going to say your clothing store API, and your lifespan is going to be lifespan. I'm going to say app.add your middleware. I'm going to include my course middleware that's defined above, and allow underscore origins equals to http localhost and then 3000. Okay, next I'm going to say allow credentials. It's gonna be true. Apart from that, I'm going to say allow methods is going to be star, include everything. Allow headers is also going to be star. This should be equals to. That's it. Next, I'm going to say app.include router, all of your product routers, then your all.router as well as the chatbot.router. I don't think this is initialized. There is some issue with respect to this. So for now, I'm just going to have in these two things. Okay, next here I'm going to say add app.route. Add app.get / I'm going to say async define route. I'm going to return message that is going to be clothing store API is running. Let's try to save the file and let's go into the backend and then let's verify if at all the backend is running. Yeah, make sure you're into the virtual environment, and I'm going to say python 3-m uvcon app main and then main.py. Okay, so it says address is already in use. Let's look into that. I think another instance is running, right? So I've just cut that instance. Again, I'm going to execute the same command, and there you go. Just like that, it is running. But yeah, we do have some issues. As you can see, your started reloader process using start reload and uvcon is running on http this specific link. Okay, so yeah, there are some issues with respect to this. Let's look into where exactly it's running or where exactly it's erroring out. So something with respect to the Mongo URL and MongoDB URL, correct? Let's check out our .env. So we have MongoDB URL over here, whereas within your config, okay, here it's Mongo URL. Let me just fix that up. It should be MongoDB URL. Save the file. There you go. Application startup complete, and we are able to see our backend is running. And you can also check out the FastAPI docs as well. So once you head over to Chrome, you can go into this link and boom, just like that, we have all of the endpoints. It should work properly fine. Okay, we have 4 endpoints and it's going to work as expected. So let's give that a try now. So let's come back to your products. Products.py. Sorry, not this thing, the front end part. Your page.tsx, and let's continue designing this. So for the main tag, I'm going to give you a class name. So max width of 6xl, mx auto, px of 6, py of 10. Next I'm going to say diff. It's going to have a h1. If at all category is chosen, show that specific category. Else I'm going to say all products. Pass on the div over here, class name, give it flex, items of center, justify is going to be between, MB is going to be 8. Let's give that a try. Let's head over to your products, / products. Okay, we need to add in the use client directive over here as well. Use client, save the file. Okay, it is not exported, correct? So let's export it. I'm gonna say onto the bottommost part, export default function. It's gonna be product page. I'm going to say return. I'm going to make use of suspense from your React, and this is going to expect a fallback. By the way, fallback is going to be equals to a div. Here I'm going to say loading, then dot. Let's pass on the class name for this, padding of 10. Text is going to be of center. Within this I'm going to show the products content. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, this step is done. Let's check out our UI. There you go, it's working properly fine. There is a network error. Okay, if at all we come to products, is going to say all products, and there is one issue that's pending, that's network error. So let's check where exactly it's wrong. So let's check out our api.ts. Let me verify with my previous code if at all there is any issue with the URL. Okay, my bad. So here we need to add the colon, not the / safe. Now it should hopefully work, and there you go, no issues. And even over here it is coming properly fine. So now let's continue designing this. Come back to page.tsx. That is going to be over here. Alright, so for h1 I'm going to pass on the design. So class name, it's going to be text of 3XL, font is going to be of bold and capitalize. Okay, below h1 I'm going to say give it a span, and I'm going to show your products to length, items, pass on the class name for this. That's going to be text gray of 400, text of SM. Save the file. Let's check out the UI. There you go, all products, 0 items. Okay, there is some issue with respect to this. Let's verify that, because it should show all of the items. Console.log data and then products. Okay, I'm doing it in the wrong space. It should come over here. Let's check it out. Inspect console. Okay, that's weird. So it's showing array of 0, not sure why. Let's check it out in the FastAPI. I'm just going to say try it out. There you go, it is coming correctly fine. This is our URL, http this link, okay, and then products, and it's giving all of the products. So let's see where exactly it is not working. So again, come back to api.ts, and let me check if at all there is any issue with respect to the products over here. So get products, it's going to take in a category, api.get / products. Okay, params category, if not empty. Okay, the URL, it is correct itself, 0.0.1 and then 8000. Okay, so is there some issue with respect to the backend? For products.py, let me just check that out. So that's gonna be over here. Come back to routes and products.py. Alright, so there's a bug with respect to this. I had added a dollar over here, so just removed that. So now it's working properly fine. You can verify that over here. There you go, 31 items. Alright, so that was a typo, so fix that up, and then let's come back to our design over here. Now let's map over all of the categories. So I'm going to say div, and here let's map over these three categories. Dot map, for every value I'm going to show a button, and if at all your g value is equals to all, then it's going to be all, else it's going to be the value g itself. So key is going to be equals to g. Save the file. You should be able to see all of the three categories. As you can see, all, men and then women. So for the div, class name, give it flex, gap of 2, MB is going to be 8. For the button, class name, make use of backticks, px of 5, py of 2, rounded is going to be full, text of sm, font medium, capitalize, transition colors, and gender filter, if it is equals to g, bg black, text of white, else bg gray of 100, I'll be adding that, you can take a look at it. Okay, and then text gray of 100, text gray of 600, and then hover, bg gray is going to be 200. Let's check this out. There you go, just like that's looking pretty clean. Let's try to give the on click over here. Take in the function and set the gender filter to be of that specific value, g. That's it. Next, below the div, I'm going to say if at all you're loading, then we're going to show some design, having a div. Within that, I'm just going to show a loading indicator with some animation. You can take a look at it. It's going to look just like this. Else, I'm going to have in a div, and I'm going to map out my filtered products dot map. For every product, I'm going to render a product card. Key is going to be equals to product.id, and your product is going to be equals to product. So let's go ahead and then define this product card within our product itself. So let's say product, and I'm going to have a new file that's going to be product card.tsx. You can pretty much get the interface from the previous page, and you can add it over here. Okay, so next I'm going to say export default function your product card. So destructure your product. Okay, and your product is going to be of type product, correct? Here I'm going to get in all of the methods from the use card store, that is your add item, remove item, all these things. So const add item is going to be equals to use card store. Here I'm going to say s dot add item. Next I'm going to say const user is going to be equals to use auth store, get the user value s dot user const router equals to your use router. And first of all, let's get into the return block. So it's going to be wrapped within a link, by the way. Import link from next link, pass on the href over here. So backticks, it's going to be / products and then / your product.id. Having a div, one more div, and show the image over here. Your source is going to be equals to your product dot your image URL, and alternate, it's going to be equals to your product dot name. I'm going to pass on the class name for this. It's going to be object cover. Width is going to be full, height is also going to be full. Okay, and then group hover. I'm going to say scale is going to be 105, and transition transform duration is going to be 300. Save. Let's import this, by the way, and we can check out the design over here. So use router, there's an issue. It's going to be coming from next navigation, not next router. Yeah, this is the one. Save the file, and there you go. Just like that, we have all of the images being shown onto the screen. Okay, so with the help of this, we're gonna design and we're gonna make it look even more beautiful. So below the image, so first of all, for the div, I'm gonna give the styling. It is gonna be group, and cursor is gonna be pointer. For the inner div, class name, it is gonna have bg gray of 100, rounded of 2xl, height of 64, MB of 3, overflow of hidden, and then relative. Save, and there you go. Just like that, is looking pretty neat and clean. Correct? So yeah, this is done. I'm going to add a button below the image, that is to add to cart. You can take a look at it. Comment this out for now, and shopping cart, I'm going to import it from Lucid React. Right, so as you can see, as you hover over it, we're able to see the add to cart button over here. Okay, so this is good. Next, below the div, I'm going to have one more piece of div having a p tag showing the product dot your brand. So class name for this, it's going to have text of XS, text gray of 400, uppercase, tracking is going to be wide, MB of 1. Then below the p tag, I'm going to have a h3 tag, that is going to be product dot name. Pass on the class name for this, font of medium, text gray of 900, then text of SM, leading is going to be tight, MB of 1. Save the file, and there you go. Just like that, is looking pretty clean for all of the products. So below the h3, we're going to have a div and a span tag showing your product.price. I'll be adding it. You can take a look at it. One more piece of div having your star icon from Lucid React. Size is going to be equals to 12. Your class name, that is going to be fill, yellow 400, and I'm also going to say text yellow of 400. Next, having a span tag showing the product.rating, text of XS, and text gray of 400. For the div, it should be in a row fashion, so flex, item center, a gap of 1. There you go. That's looking pretty neat and clean. For this specific div, I'm going to say class flex item center justify between. Now let's come back to the page.tsx and then pass on the design for your div. I'm going to give it a grid based design. You can take a look at it, and boom, just like that. As you can see, everything is working super crisp and clean. So once all is selected, it's gonna show all of the products that we have in our database. Once men is chosen, only men products are shown. Once women is chosen, only your women dresses are shown over here. Correct? So yeah, this is working properly fine, and this step is complete. Once you press on any product, it should navigate to this page. As you can see, product and then unique ID. Since this page is not present, it is not showing correctly. Let's go ahead and then design this. Okay, that's going to be the next step. So come back to id page.tsx, and again I'm going to copy down my interface product. You can take a look at it. It's pretty much same as the previous one. Here I'm going to say export default function your products detail page. First of all, I'm going to get in my ID with the help of use params, destructure it. Next, your product information. So const product comma set product is going to be equals to use state of product or null, initially null. Next, a loading state, const loading comma set loading equals to use state of true. Next, const selected size comma set selected size equals to use state, initially a empty string. Okay. Next, I'm going to say const selected color comma set selected color equals to use state of an empty string. Next, const add item equals to use cart store, and over here it's going to be equals to s dot add item. I'm also going to get the user from use auth store. It's going to be equals to s dot user. Also set up your use router as well. Import it from next router. Let's try to define the use effect. So we can make an API call and we can fetch that product information based on the ID. This is going to be dependent upon the ID as well. I'm going to say const fetch equals to a async function having a try and then your catch block, catch of error, console.error of error, finally block, set your loading to be a false. Within try block, pretty simple, try to initialize the result equals to await, get product imported from libapi of id as a string, then set the product to be of the result.data and set selected size to be of the first size result.data dot your sizes of 0. Similarly, set selected color of result dot data dot colors of 0. So as you saw in the demo part of the video, our product page is going to look something like this. So left hand side, the image of the model, that is the dress, and towards the right hand side all of the description. And as you can see, the URL, it's going to be /products and then the unique ID of this specific product. Okay, and we can also try to go and then call the fetch function over here. That's it. And if loading is true, I'm going to show the specific design. You can take a look at it. Okay, and if not of product, we can directly try to return a div showing that product is not found for that specific ID. Here class name p of 10 text of center. Now let's look into the return block design. Having a main tag over here, and even over here for the bottommost part. Okay, anyhow, this is already automatically exported, which is good. For the main, I am gonna give it class name, max width of 6xl, mx is gonna be auto, px of 6, py of 10. Okay, next I'm gonna pass on the link from next link. This is basically gonna have arrow left and back to products text. This is gonna say href / your products. Pass on the class name to this as well. We are basically trying to design this specific one, that is back to products. Okay, so class name flex, items of center, gap is going to be of 2, and text gray of 500, and if I hover over it, it's going to be text black, and MB of 8. Save. Okay, my bad, this should be from next navigation again. So next navigation, save. This also should be using your use client directive. Save the file. Let's press on this one, and there you go. Just like that, we are getting the back to products. Okay, so that design is working properly fine. Next, let's try to show the image. So right below the link, I'm gonna have a div. Within that, one more div. Then I'm gonna show the next image over here. Your src is gonna be equals to your product dot image URL. Alt is gonna be equals to product dot name. It's gonna be fill, and class name. Object is gonna be cover. For the div over here, I'm gonna say class name. So bg gray of 100, rounded is gonna be 3xl, overflow hidden, and relative. I'm gonna give some internal styling to this. You can take a look at it. That is just like this. So let's check out the design. Reload. Okay, so yeah, we need to include that as the host name, that is cdn.shopify.com, within our next.config.js. Otherwise it would error out and it wouldn't allow us to show the image onto the screen. So let's try to make this. I'll be adding all of the list of URLs that I've used within this project. Come back to next.config.js. Yeah, I mean next.config.ts, and I'm going to add in all of the host names over here. So we need to, again, let's check it out. Yeah, it is coming fine. There you go. So yeah, this is looking good. Now for your div, I'm going to give the design. Let's come back to id page.tsx. This div, class name, it's going to be grid, and then grid calls of 1. From medium screen onwards, it should be grid calls of 2. Gap of 12. Okay, it's become super small. Let's look into this once. All right, let's continue designing this. So below this div, we're gonna have your one more div to show all of the details part of it. So I'm gonna add in the product.name, that is product.brand, as well as your product.name. There you go, that's looking good. Next, below the h1 tag, I'm gonna have one more div. I'm gonna show the star icon from Lucid React. Pass on the size, that's gonna be 16. Class name, fill yellow of 400, and text yellow of 400. Okay, below this I'm going to have one more piece of span that's going to show the rating. By the way, I'm going to say product dot rating, and then rating. For the div, I'm going to say class name, give it flex, item center, gap of 2, MB of 4 for the span, class name text of SM, text gray of 500. There you go. That's looking pretty neat and clean. Next is with respect to the product.price. So p tag, I'm going to say product.price, pass on the design for this, class name text of 2XL, font is going to be of bold, MB is going to be of 4. Next, another p tag, I'm going to say product.description, class name text gray of 500, text of SM, leading is gonna be relaxed, and then MB of 6. Save, and there you go. Just like that, it's looking good. I'm gonna be adding your rupee symbol. That is just like this. Next, we're gonna have the colors being added. Div, having a p tag, I'm going to say color, having one more piece of span. So color is going to look something like this, black, and for size we're going to have again a new div for that. So it's going to be your selected color, class name, font is going to be normal, and then capitalize. For your div, class name MB of 6, below this one more div, product dot colors dot map. For every color I'm going to show a button over here. I'll be adding the design for this. You can take a look at this. So there you go. Just like that, this is in beige color. So now I'm going to give the design for your div, class name flex, a gap of 2. For the p tag, text of SM, font of medium, MB of 2. Save. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Next, below to the div, I'm going to have one more div, a p tag. It's going to be the exact same thing. Just copy this down and make the changes if at all required. So here, instead of selected color, I'm going to say selected size. Here, instead of mapping over the colors, I'm going to map over the sizes. Okay, button, here I'm going to say set selected size of your size. This also is going to be size. Apart from that, here it should be selected size equals to size. Here show the size, and your key is also going to be size. Save, and there you go. Just like that, everything is getting selected, and you're also able to see the color changing over here onto the screen. Next, the final most part is to design the button to add to cart. Shopping cart from Lucid React, size of 18. Here I'm going to say add to cart, and button class name width is going to be a full, flex, items of center, justify of center, a gap of 2, BG black, text of white, PY is going to be 4, rounded full, font is going to be medium, and once I hover over it, it's going to be BG gray of 800, and transition I'm going to say colors. Let's try to save the file, and there you go. Just like that, it's looking really nice. And I'm going to have a p tag over here to show that it is available in stock. There is so many items. Got it? Let's define the handle add to cart over here onto the top. So const handle add to cart equals to a normal arrow function, and if at all not of product, directly try to return. If not of user also, we can say toast. Toast should be coming from React hot toast. Let's try to add it to the front end part. Yarn add React hot toast. Enter. So here we are going to say toast dot error. Please log in to add items to your cart, and I'm going to say router.push to / login and return. If at all both the values are present, user and the product, add item, ID is going to be your product dot ID, then your name, price, image, URL, and then quantity, just like this. Next I'm going to say toast dot your success, add it to cart, save. Okay, so now it should not work because the user is not present, and also there is some setup that we have not done, that is with respect to the nav bar over here. So that change we're going to make it with respect to the underscore layout.tsx. So come back to this part. Okay, change this as Threadz. It's gonna be a clothing store. Here I'm gonna say AI powered clothing store. Okay, and I'm gonna remove everything from here. I'm gonna rewrite it. So I'm gonna say export function root layout. It's gonna take in your children, here I'm gonna say your children is gonna be react dot your react node. Here return your HTML. I'm going to say lang is going to be equals to en. Pass on your body. Class name is going to be as usual gist.classname. We're also going to have the nav bar over here. So I'm going to say nav bar. That needs to be defined, as well as the toaster position we need to pass it. That's going to be top right. Here pass on all of the children, and we're also going to have the chat widget on every screen. So chat widget. So these are the remaining things we need to define your nav bar. So within the components, I'm gonna add it over here. So let's say front end, and then new folder, components, new file, that is going to be navbar.tsx, and let's try to define this up. Correct? Let's do it. I'm going to say export default function. It's going to be navbar over here. I'm going to return a nav tag and a div. So nav means it's going to have a Threadz logo or icon, then between home and shop towards right hand side the user related info. I'm going to say link. Here I'm going to say, okay, not from Lucid React. Your href is just going to be /. Here it's going to be Threadz. Okay, let's try to import this navbar. Save. Okay, For the nav, I'm going to say it's going to be sticky onto the top. Top is going to be 0, Z of 50, BG white, border is going to be B, border gray of 200, PX of 6, PY of 4. For the div class name, max width of 6XL, MX of auto, items of center, justify of between, and for this I'm going to say class name, text of XL, font of bold, text of black, tracking is going to be tight. Save the file, let's check out the UI, and boom, just like that, as you can see, we have the navbar, and it's going to be coming on every screen because we have mentioned it inside the layout.tsx, correct? Next is the nav links, that's going to come below the link tag. This is going to say home over here. Copy this down one more time. This is going to say shop. Class name hidden on the small screens. From medium, it's going to be flex, items of center, gap of 8. Here I'm going to say href is going to be equals to /. Class name, text of SM, text gray of 600, and if I hover over it, it's going to be text of black. I'm also going to add the design for the next one as well. You can take a look at it. Save. Let's check it out. As you can see, home and then shop. Everything is working properly fine. Okay. So yeah, this is looking good. So now the next step is to show the right hand side. All right. That's going to happen below this. I'm going to say div, if at all user information is present, then I'm going to show some design, else it's going to show a link to login. Let's try to have a span tag over here and show the username. That's how we show it, just like this. So user is not defined, correct? And we're also going to have a button to log out. I'm going to say log out, size of 18, design for the button, class name, it's going to have text gray of 500, and if I hover over it, it's going to be text black, and transition is going to be colors. For the outermost div, I'm going to say class name, all of them should be in a row fashion, so item center as well as a gap of 4. Else over here we're going to have a user icon, size of 18, and we're going to say login. Pass on the design for this, href, that's going to be /login, class name flex, items of center, gap of 1, text of SM, text gray of 600, and if I hover over it, it's going to be text of black, and transition is going to be colors. Okay, user is going to be coming from your use auth store. I'll be adding this, you can take a look at it. Import everything, use router from next navigation, and this thing. Save the file, it will show the second design. Yep, so we need to add the use client directive. So use client and save. There you go, just like that, is working properly fine. Okay, I think the user is not cleared out. That's the reason we are actually able to see the user. So it was essentially the same kind of token that we are using. That's the reason it is showing the username over here. Okay. Let's try to show the logout button. So const handle logout is going to be equals to normal arrow function. I'm going to say logout. For this, I'm going to say on click is going to be handle logout. Save. Let's say over here, and there you go. Now there is no token and it is cleared. That's the reason even if I reload, it is showing as login over here. Okay. Then towards the right hand side, we're going to show a link. Okay, I think I missed out one more div. So below the link, okay, so yeah, all these divs should come over here. That is this one. Okay, not for this one. Let me just check that out once again. Okay, flex is missing. That's the reason it's not working fine. So here, give a flex, and now it should be working properly fine. There you go. Just like that, it's pretty clean. And since the user is not present, no token, so it is in login mode. And over here, I'm going to add the design. That is a link. This in turn is going to have a shopping cart. Size of 22. Class name, text gray of 700. Once I hover over it, I'm going to say text of black. Transition is going to be colors. Here it's going to go into /cart. Okay, and your class name is going to be relative. Below this, I'm going to first of all check total items. We can get it from the reduce method. Just like this, items.reduce, make use of the sum, and I initially pass on value of 0. It's going to be sum plus I dot quantity. So here I'm going to check total items is greater than 0, and I'm going to show a span tag over here showing the total items. Pass on the design for this. So class name, it's going to be absolute positioning minus top of 2 minus right of 2 as well, bg black, text of white, text of xs, rounded is going to be full, and then a width of 5, height of 5 as well, flex, item center, justify of center as well. Save the file, and there you go. Just like that, everything is working fine. So this part is done. So now let's actually implement the login bit that was pending previously, so that we can actually try to log in as well as register as well. So yep, let's try to give this a try. So let's create a page. I'm going to say login and then page.tsx. First of all, app, new folder, login, page.tsx, rfce to get the Sujan code function, login, and there you go. Just like that, we are into the login page. So let's go ahead and then design that. That's going to be the next step. So yeah, instead of this, that is function page, I am going to say export default function. It is going to be your login page. Okay, I'm going to set up all of my states now itself. So const email comma set email equals to use state, initially empty string, const password comma set password, equals to use state of empty string, next const loading comma set loading equals to use state, it's going to be false. Next I'm going to say set auth, that's going to be coming from the use auth store. I'm going to get the s.setAuth, okay, and const router is going to be equals to use router. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Let's try to implement the return block. Having a main tag over here, I'm first of all going to give the class name for this, so it's going to be a min height of screen, and flex items is going to be center, justify center, and then bg gray of 50, and then px of 6. So save the file. So nothing should have happened. Okay, so we need to use next navigation, my bad. Add it just like this. Okay, then within your main we're gonna have the diff, we're gonna have the h1. Here we're gonna say welcome back. Next we're gonna have the p tag, which is gonna say login to your account. Okay, then within the div I'm gonna say class name bg white, rounded is gonna be 3xl, padding of 10, width of full, max width of md, and then shadow of sm. Okay, and the text which says welcome back, I'm going to say class name, text is going to be 2xl, font is going to be of bold, mb is going to be of 1. Okay, my bad, again I've missed the use client directive. Let's go and then add it over here. So I'm going to say use client, save the file, and there you go. Just like that, it's looking pretty neat and clean. So let's continue designing this. So for the login to your account, here I'm going to say class name, text gray of 400, text of sm, mb of 8. Okay, next below the p tag I'm going to say div. I'm going to have one more piece of div. Next comes your label and the input. Here I'm going to say email. Next again input over here. Your type is going to be email over here, value email, on change, taking a value over here, and I'm just going to say set email to be of your e.target dot your value. Your placeholder is going to be u at example.com. Let's pass on the class name. Width is going to be a full, then border gray of 200, rounded is going to be xl, px of 4, py of 3, text is going to be sm, outline is going to be none over here. Okay, next focus, I'm going to say borders black, and transition is going to be colors. So yeah, that's it. Next first of all, let's try to save the file. Let's look into the design. There you go, it's looking pretty neat. And for your div, I'm going to give it a space y. So pass on the class name, I'm going to say space y of 4. For the label also, there is going to be a design. So I'm going to say text of sm, and then font medium. Okay, text gray of 700. I'm going to say block, and then mb of 1. Save, and there you go. Just like that, it's looking pretty neat and clean. All right, next I'm going to have again the new div for the password. You can take a look at it. Just copy this one and then make the design changes. Save the file. There you go. Just like that, it's looking nice and clean. Email and password. Next you're going to have a button for logging in. All right, so button over here, and if at all your loading is set to true, we are going to say logging in dot, else it is going to be login. And for the button, I'm going to say disabled is going to be equals to loading. And on click, yeah, let's give that in just a bit. So class name for this, I'm going to say width to full, bg black, text of white, py of 3, rounded is going to be full, font of medium, and once I hover, I'm going to say bg gray of 800. Okay, next transition is going to be colors, and disabled, I'm going to give it opacity of 50. That's pretty much it. Let's try to save the file, and there you go. Just like that, is looking pretty neat and clean, correct? Yeah, this is done. Next, if at all you don't have an account, we also need to register. So for that also a new design. So below this, having a p tag, I'm going to say don't have an account. Let's also keep cursor pointer for this one. That's missing, cursor pointer. Okay, so over here, don't have an account question mark, then a space. I'm gonna have a link from your next link. It is gonna have a register. It's gonna expect a href to be passed on. I'm gonna say / register. Okay, class name for this, I'm gonna say text of black, font of medium. Once I hover over it, it's gonna be underline. Okay, next for the p tag, I'm gonna say class name, text of center, text of sm, text gray of 400, empty of 6. Save the file. Let's look into the design. There you go. Just like that, it's looking pretty neat. So once I press on register, it should be navigating to register. Let's do that in just a bit. And now let's try to define the handle login function. So const handle login equals to a async function. First of all, check if at all, if not of email or not of password. I'm going to say return, use the toast dot error, and here I'm going to say fill in all the fields. And next I'm going to say set the loading to be of true, having your try and then your catch block. So catch of error, that's going to be any. Here I'm going to say toast dot error. I'm going to write error dot your response dot data dot your detail, or I'm going to say login has failed. And I'm going to use my finally block over here, and I'm going to say set loading to be of false. Okay, within the try block, I'm going to say const result equals to await login. I hope it's initialized. Yes, it is there within the lib API. Import it. This expects two things, email and the password. Pass on that and set the auth from the store. That's going to be result.data dot your user, comma result.data dot your access token. Then next router.push of /. That's it. And we can give it to the button over here. So I'm going to say on click is going to be handle login. Save the file. Once I press on this, boom, just like this, the toast comes up which says fill in all the fields. So yeah, that's looking properly fine. I think there is some issue with the fonts, not sure why, because within the layout, I'm just gonna have in my code being pasted, so you can take a look at it. I'm gonna use a subsets that's gonna be Latin, so you can use this font over here. You can import navbar for chat widget. We're gonna initialize that in just a bit. Save the file. There you go. This is looking much cleaner. Okay, just try to initialize your GEIST as GEIST. Import that from your next font Google, and I'm going to say subsets is Latin, and just pass that as the class name. Okay, so this part is working fine. Now let's go and then initialize the register method. So I'm going to come back over here, app, and then new folder, register. I'm going to say login.tsx. Okay, my bad. It should be page.tsx. Okay, now let's write the code for this. It's going to be pretty simple, just as we wrote it for the login screen. So export default function, I'm going to say register page. So const name comma set name equals to use state of an empty string. Okay, next const email comma set email is going to be equals to use state of an empty string again. Next const password comma set password equals to use state of an empty string. Next we need the loading, set auth as well as the router. You can get it from the previous screen and then paste it over here. Use auth store imported, use router from next navigation. All right, here again we can try to say return a main block. Once if I save the file and press on register, okay, so even over here we need to add in the use client directive and then it should go off. So save. There you go, we are into /register and the design is currently empty. So class name for this, min height of screen, flex, items of center, justify center, bg gray of 50, px of 6. Okay, next we're gonna have a div. Within that, again, 2 h1 tags. You can pretty much get it from the previous code. Not 2 h1 tags, 1 h1 and then 1 p tag. So here I'm going to say create account. Okay, and over here we're going to say join Threadz today. So for the div, I'm going to say class name, it's going to be bg white, rounded is going to be 3xl, padding of 10, width is going to be a full, and then max width of medium, shadow of sm. Save the file. There you go, that's looking good. Create account and then join Threadz today. Next we're going to have is your div. Again, I'm going to get in your email, password. So this return is going to remain the exact same thing, no changes. Just add it over here, and as the first child, over here we're going to have your label input again. So the label over here, it is going to be name. Okay, and here I'm going to say set name, set email, set password. And for the placeholder, it is going to be your name. Got it. And for over here div, I'm going to say class name space wire4. Let's try to save. Come back over here. Okay, the design is messed up. Let's look into this. Okay, my bad. So basically, this design should come below the p tag so that the white border appears. So first of all, remove this. I'm going to design the button, or you can take a look at it. I've already added it. Save the file. There you go, just like that. Everything is super clean and crisp. So yeah, this part is done. Register is almost done. You can take a look at the button, and I've just added this new one. This remains the same from the login screen. Okay, next we're gonna have a p tag below your this div. I'm going to say P. Already have an account, question mark. Again, I'm going to have a link from next link. This is going to say login. Pass on the href. That is going to be /login. Pass on the p tag. That's going to be text of center, text of sm, text gray of 400, empty of 6. Okay. And over here, class name, I'm going to say text of black, font of medium. Once I hover, I'm going to say underline. Save. There you go. Just like that, we're able to switch between login, register, register, login. Now let's try to implement the handle register function. That's going to be the final step over here. So const handle register equals to async function. Again, check all of the required things. That is if not of name, or not of email, or not of password. I am going to say return toast dot error. I'm going to say fill in all the fields. Set loading to be of true. Next try. Catch of error of any. I'm going to say toast dot error. It's going to be error dot response dot your data dot that specific detail, or I'm just going to say registration failed. Okay. Next here I'm going to say finally block, and set loading is going to be a false. Within the try block, I'm going to say const result equals to await register from your libapi, name, email, password. I'm going to say set auth to be of result.data.user, comma result.data.your access underscore token. Got it? Next toast.success. Once everything is done, I'm going to say account is created, and we should be navigated to the next screen. That is going to be router.push to the /. That's it. Save. So let's uncomment this, save the file, make sure the backend is running. There you go, it's running. Let's try to register now. Let's see what exactly happens. Register your name Sujan, your email Sujan. Yes, let's give this itself, password, create your account, and boom, just like that, account created, and we have been navigated to the main screen. And even over here, this is also working properly fine. Hi Sujan, there's a logout button, and this is your cart items. Okay, so yeah, this part is working properly fine. Let's say shop now. It should bring us back to this thing. Once I press on any item, it should bring me back to this specific product page. Let me verify if at all your add to cart is defined over here. Okay, we have not given it to the on click, correct? So over here, I'm going to say on click. It's going to be handle add to cart. That's going to be this one. So let's try to give this a try. Add to cart. Okay, nothing seems to happen. Because if at all it is worked out, we should be getting the detail over here. So let's do one thing. Let's actually try to log the user. So console.log data user, and then console.log data, and then product. Save the file. Let's check out our console. Reload this page. Yep. So as you can see, we are getting both data as well as D. But once, yeah, now it's working. Add it to cart. There you go. So yeah, this is working fine. And even over here, we're able to see that one item is added to cart. Next, let's design the cart page. That's going to be the next step. So essentially your cart page is going to look something like this. You can increase quantity, decrease quantity, and then place order. And one final bit that's remaining is to design your chatbot over here. So let's quickly, implement your cart. That's the simplest step. So press on app, new folder, cart, and then page.tsx. So let's go ahead and then define this. I'm going to say export default function. It's going to be cart page. First one, I'm going to get all of the required things from the use cart store. So const items, comma remove item, comma update quantity total, comma clear cart is going to be equals to use cart store. Next, I'm going to say const user is going to be equals to use auth store. Here I'm going to say s.user. Okay. Next, const router is going to be equals to your use router. Next, I'm going to check if at all your items.length equals to 0. I'm going to say start shopping. I'm going to show that message, by the way. Okay. If items.length equals to 0, then here I'm going to say return a main, then a shopping bag icon from Lucid React. Your size is going to be, let's say, 48. Class name is going to be text gray of 300, and a h2 tag which is going to say your cart is empty. Okay, next I'm going to say class name over here, text of XL, font is going to be of medium, and text gray of 500. I'm going to have a link over here from, okay, not from Lucid React, from your next/link. Okay, here I'm going to say start shopping. Here I'm going to say href, it's going to be /products. Class name, bg is going to be black, text is going to be white, px of 6, py of 3, rounded is going to be full, text of sm, hover, it's going to be bg gray of 800, transition is going to be colors. So yeah, that's it. For the main tag, I'm going to say class name, min height of screen, flex call, item center, justify center, and then a gap of 4. All right, let's try to implement the main block over here. I'm going to say return. Let's have in a main tag, save, and let's press on this. Okay, again I've made a mistake over here. Let's use the use client, and I'm gonna make this as use navigation, next navigation. Save the file. There you go, we are into /cart, and since we have one item, this initial design is not going to be shown, okay, because the condition is going to fail. So for the main, I'm going to say class name, it's going to have a max width of 4xl, mx of auto, px of 6, py of 10, and over here I'm going to have h1, which is going to say your cart. For the h1 tag, I'm going to say class name, text is going to be of 3xl, font of bold, MB is going to be 8. Save. We should see that design onto the screen. As you can see, your cart. So it's the exact same thing at the correct position because of max width of 4xl. Having a div, and for this I'm going to say space y of 4, MB of 8, and over here I'm going to say items dot map for every item. I'm gonna return a div, by the way. Then initially I'm going to show the image. I'll be adding the code for that. You can take a look at it. That's the image. Let's check out the design. There you go. This item is being shown onto the screen. Yeah, the key prop is missing. Let's add the key to the div. Key is going to be item.id. I'm going to say class name for the outermost div. Flex items center. Give it a gap of 4. BG gray of 50. Rounded is going to be 2XL. And some internal spacing, padding of 4. So h3 over here, I'm going to say item.name. Next, I'm going to have in a p tag, which is going to show the item.price. So for this, I'm going to say class name, text gray of 500, text of SM. For h3 tag, it's going to be font of medium, text of SM. For the div, I'm going to give it a flex of 1. So basically this takes up the entire space, and towards the right hand side we can have other controls, that is your quantity controls and the price and the delete button as well. So save the file. Let's check out the design. There you go. Just like that's looking pretty neat. I'll also be adding the rupee symbol. You can take a look at it. So that's going to be coming over here. Okay. So yeah, below the div, I'm going to have one more piece of div. Having a button. This is the leftmost part. We're going to have a span, by the way. That's going to have in your quantity. It's going to be item.quantity. Next, one more button. That's going to be your plus. This is going to be minus. For the div, I'm going to pass on the design. Flex, everything in a row fashion. Item center, a gap of 2. For the button, it's going to be having a specific width and height. So width 8, height 8. Rounded is going to be full. Next, border gray of 200. Flex, items of center, justify of center. Text is going to be SM, and once I hover, it's going to be border black, and transition is going to be colors. Save. Let's look into the design. Okay, there you go. That's looking pretty clean. And the same design I'm going to give it for the next button as well. You can just copy that down. So yeah, there you go. It's looking nice. And for the span, I'm going to give the design again. So class name for this in turn is going to have a width of 6. Text is going to be center, text of SM, and font is going to be medium. Okay, that's looking nice. Now on click, let's give it for the first one. So I'm going to say on click. Here I'm going to say update quantity of your item.id, comma, it's going to be your math.max of 1, comma, item.quantity minus 1. It cannot go below 1. Okay, save. So even if I press on minus, it should stay there itself. So here, even though I press on 1, it should stay there itself because the minimum quantity is 1. The only way you can remove is by deleting it. Okay, so next one, I'm going to add it for the update quantity, just like this. Okay, so now if I press on plus, it should keep on increasing to 2, 3, and so on, and we can come only till 1 over here. So that's working properly fine. Next we're going to have is your price being shown below the div, having a p tag, and this is going to show your item.price. multiplied by your item dot quantity. Pass on the p tag. So class name for this, it's gonna be font of bold, text of SM, width of 16, text is gonna be of right. Save. There you go, that's looking nice. I'll be adding the rupee symbol. You can just append it onto the p tag over here. Next, I'm gonna have a button that is gonna be a trash icon. From Lucid React, let's use trash 2. Size is gonna be equals to 16. For the button, I'm gonna say class name, text gray of let's say 400. Once I hover over it, it's gonna be text red of 500, and transition is gonna be colors. For the button, I'm gonna say on click, take in a function, and over here I'm gonna say remove item. That's gonna be item.id. Next, I'm gonna say toast.success. I'm gonna show a message showing that removed from cart. So there is some bracket issue. Let me just fix that up, and we can add it in a new line as well. Save. Let's try to remove this, and boom, just like that, it got removed and your cart is empty. Once you press on start shopping, it should navigate us back to the products. As you can see, everything's working properly, clean, and everything is neat as well. Okay, so this step is done. So now the next step is to design your chat widget that is going to be just like this. Okay, and once you open the widget, it's going to look just like this, and you can ask any queries as well. It's going to work properly fine. That's going to be the final step for the application. Let's go ahead and then create that within your components folder. So frontend, components, new file. It is going to be chat widget.tsx. Here initially I'm going to define my interface for your message. So it's either going to be role of the user or of an assistant. Next, content is going to be string. Products is going to be of product. We need to define that in just a bit. I'll be doing that. So interface product, it's going to have, ID of string. Name also is going to be of string. Price is going to be of number. Image URL is going to be of string. Okay, next is going to be your category, string. Apart from that, a rating is going to be number. Okay, these are the required things, and let's try to define our function. So export default function, it's going to be a chat widget. So I'm going to initialize some states to check whether it's open or not. First thing, open comma set open equals to use state of false. Next, I'm going to initialize my messages as well as set messages. You can take a look at it. It's going to look just like this. Okay, next, const input comma set input equals to use state of an empty string. Next, const loading comma set loading equals to use state of false. I'm going to create a bottom ref as well for the scrolling and all of the other things. It's going to be equals to use ref, import it from React. There's going to be a HTML div element of null. Okay, and let's try to implement the return block over here. Save the file. And yeah, first of all, if at all your open is set to true, I'm going to say and let's try to have a div over here. Within this, I'm gonna have the header being shown, that is your AI shopping assistant. And if at all it's not open, we're gonna have a button with a message circle icon to open it up. Okay, so that's gonna come right below this. I'm gonna say button over here. If open is true, then I'm gonna have X icon from Lucid React. Else it's gonna be a message circle icon from again Lucid React. Size equals to 20. So class name, this is going to be fixed onto the bottom. Okay, bottom of 6, right of 6 as well. PG is going to be black, text of white, width of 14, height of 14, rounded is going to be full, flex, item center, justify center, shadow is going to be LG. Once I hover over it, it's going to be BG gray of 800, and transition is going to be colors, a Z of 50. Save the file. It's not showing. I think we need to uncomment it from the layout, then only it's going to show up. So uncomment this, import it, save the file. Okay, we need to use the use client directive. Save. There you go. Just like that, we have that chatbot showing over here towards the right hand side. That's looking pretty good. So once we press on that, it is going to set to open. So for that, again, initialize the on click over here. So here I'm going to say on click, set open to be off, not of open. If it's true, make it false. If it's false, make it as true. So for the first initial div, I'm going to say class name. This also is going to be fixed, and your bottom is going to be 24, right is going to be of 6, width of 80, BG white, rounded is going to be 3XL, shadow of 2XL, border gray of 100, flex call, overflow is going to be hidden, and Z of 50. Okay, and I'm going to give it a specific height that's going to be of 520 pixels. Right within the div, I'm going to have the header being shown. Header means it's going to contain this thing, that is AI shopping assistant, and then powered by Claude. So having a div, within that a p tag which is going to say AI shopping assistant. Next, a p tag. Here I'm going to say powered by Claude. Pass on the div over here. Class name, it's going to be BG black, text is going to be white, px of 5, py of 4, flex, items is going to be center, justify between, and flex shrink of 0. Let's remove that, not required for now. Open this, and there you go. Just like that, this is looking pretty neat and clean. We need to give it for the p tags so that it's correctly structured. Class name, font of semi-bold, text of SM. For this, again, class name, text of XS, and text gray of 400. And then next I'm going to have a button to close the widget as well. You can take a look at it. There you go. You can close it and open it again. So this is working properly fine. Okay, now I'm going to actually add in the design now itself for the messages. That's going to be the next step. So right below your div, over here I'm going to have in a div, and I'm going to map over the messages for every message, and then the index. I'm going to show a div. pass on the key that is going to be index over here. Within this, we're going to have one more piece of div, and we're going to have another div as well. And we're going to check if at all the message.role equals to the assistant or not. So I'm going to say msg.role. If it's equals to assistant, then add in this design, else just show the message.content. Okay, my bad, not over here. Else it is going to be, okay, it should be that itself. Okay, anyways, over here we're going to use react markdown, so install that. So this would give all of the details in a formatted way. So yarn add just like this. Otherwise it should include your stars, asterisk symbols and other symbols in the response. So to prevent that from happening, I'm going to install react markdown, enter. Okay, so this got installed, and here I'm going to say react markdown. We can try to import it from your react markdown onto the top. Okay, I'll be adding the component design for this. You can take a look at it. So here we are going to show your message.content. If it's not from the assistant, then also we're going to show message.content. That's it. Okay. Next is to show all of your product cards, as you can see. So based on suggestions, it's also going to show the product cards. And once you press on that, you can automatically navigate to that specific product card. So yeah, let's say over here, we're going to have your message dot go into the products. If it's present and if at all the length is greater than 0, and over here I'm going to say div. Here map over the message.products. So msg.products dot map for every product. Over here I'm going to have a link from your next link. Okay, so there is some issue because we are able to see the underline, which means it's not considering this as an array, because over here, okay, my bad. So this should be an array, not just the value. Now the error should have been gone. Okay, so yeah, link over here, pass on the key. That's going to be your product.id and href. I'm going to make use of backticks over here. It's going to be /products $$ your product.id. Okay, next I'm going to pass on the class name for this. It's going to be flex items of center. Okay, gap of 3, PG is going to be white, border, and then border gray of 200, rounded is going to be 2XL, padding of 2, and if I hover over it, it should be border black. That's it. All right, next we can show the image within this. That's the next step, image as well as the view button towards the right hand side. So I'm going to say div image from next image, pass on the source, that is going to be product.your image URL, alt is going to be equals to your product.name, fill, and I'm going to say class name, it's going to be object cover. Okay, below the div I'm going to have one more piece of div showing all of the details, that is your product.name as well as your product.category, Next is going to be your product.price. So for the div, I'm going to pass on the class name, give it a flex of 1, min width of 0, class name, text of XS, font of medium, text gray of 900, and then truncate. Next, class name, text of XS, and then text gray of 500, and then capitalize. For this one, class name, text of XS, font is going to be of bold, and text is going to be black. Okay, that's pretty much it. So this is the entire design for the cards. I'll also be adding it for the view as well, so you can take a look at it. This is for the view button. I've added it. Let's try to save. So if at all your loading is true, we need to be showing some animations that is going to be in a bouncy format. Okay, so I'll be adding that as well. So right below this, I'm going to check if at all loading is set to true, and have in a div, and here we're going to have a couple more divs. Save the file. I'm also going to have a div with the bottom ref over here. Save. Okay, so this part is done. So now next I'm going to add in your input as well as the send message button. Okay, that is this one. That's going to be stuck onto the bottommost part for this particular chat widget. Let me add that over here. That's going to be coming right below this particular div. So here I'm going to add in a new div, and then the input. So it's going to look something like this, as you saw, ask me anything, and then a send button. So here your value is going to be equals to input, and on change equals to take in event, and I'm going to say set input to be of e dot target dot your value, and on key down also we can call the send message function. So take in an event and check if at all e dot key equals to enter, and I'm going to say send message. This function needs to be defined. Let's comment this for now because it's not present. So placeholder is going to be ask me anything. Let's pass on the class name, flex of 1, bg gray of 50, rounded is going to be of full, px of 4, py of 2, text of sm, outline is going to be none. Okay, once I focus, I'm going to say bg gray is going to be 100. Apart from that, I'm going to say transition is going to be colors. Next, we're going to have a button. Save the file over here. For this also, I'm going to give the style nav. That's the div. Some padding, px of 4, py of 3. Border is going to be on the top. Border gray of 100. Give it a flex, and then a gap of 2. Flex shrink of 0. Save the file. Let's check out the design. There you go, just like that. It's looking good, and even this text is also being shown. Okay, that's towards the left hand side. We just need to design this in a really good way. So we're going to have a button. That's going to be the next step. I'm going to say send from Lucid React, size equals to 14. This is going to be disabled if your loading is set to true or not of input dot trim. That means some value should be present within the text input. Class name for this, bg is going to be black, and then text of white. Width is going to be 9, height is going to be 9, rounded is going to be full, flex, item center, justify center, and once I hover, I'm going to say BG gray is going to be 800. Next, transition is going to be colors, and if it's disabled, opacity is going to be 40. Okay, so let's try to save the file. There you go, just like that, it's looking properly fine. So yeah, this step is done. And now on the top, I'm gonna initialize my use effect, and we're gonna have your bottom ref being used. I'm gonna say messages. Here I'm gonna say bottom ref dot current dot, we have a scroll into view. We're gonna pass in the behavior, it's gonna be smooth, so the scrolling is gonna work properly fine. Next, I'm gonna say const send message equals to a async function if not of your input dot trim, or if at all your loading is true, then directly try to return, don't need to execute. Next, const user message, that's going to be of type message equals to role is going to be of user, content is going to be input. Next, let's try to initialize the updated messages, include whatever is there within the messages, and then add in the user message, and then set the messages to be of your updated messages. That's it. Also set the input to be of empty string, set loading to be of true. Now within the try catch block, let's try to implement this. So initially, catch of error, I'm going to set the messages over here with respect to the error. You can take a look at it. And finally, I'm going to say set loading to be of false. Within the try block, I'm going to write const history equals to updated messages dot slice of 0 comma -1 dot map. For every m, I'm going to show the role, that's going to be m.role, and your content. Okay, not this, that's going to be m.content. Okay, here I'm going to say const result equals to await. I'm going to say send chat message of your input as well as your history. Next, I'm going to set the messages. That's pretty much it. You can try to save the file, and we can basically try to give the on click to your button. That is going to be over here. This is the one. Save. Let's also uncomment this as well. Alright, so yeah, this step is done. We just need to look into the fixing of designs. Okay, I'll just be adding that. There is some issue while showing the message over here. Yeah, for this, the design is not being given. Class name, make use of backticks. I'm going to say flex. If at all my message.role equals to user, I'm going to say justify end, else it's going to be justify start. Okay, save the file. So now for this inner view, I'm going to pass on the design. So class name, make use of backticks. It's going to have a max width of 85. Okay, so you can take a look at it. And there you go, just like that, it's working fine. We just need to give some padding, and we need to give the design that is a flex of 1 to this, so it gets pushed towards the bottommost part. Flex of 1, overflow y of auto, px of 4, and then space y of 3. Save the file. There you go. Just like that, it's looking pretty neat and clean. So this step is complete. We can try to test this out. So let's verify the backend. There was something missing previously. So let's come back to the your routes and need to write it for the chatbot.py. I'll be adding the code for that. So chatbot.py, you can take a look at it. So there you go. Just like this, I've added the code for your chatbot.py. So it's also going to give the details as well as the products from the backend. You can take a look at it. I think for the front end, the service has been working properly fine. You can check that out within your API.ts. As you can see, it's going to be for /chat. And within the routes, we have done that just now. Yeah, that's just the one. You can take a look at it from the starting most point. Okay, now next let's come back to the main.py. Let's try to include this and then let's try to rerun it over here. So here let's also try to include your chatbot, and I'm going to say app.include router of your chatbot.router. Save the file. No issues. I'll just be adding my env key, sorry, not env key, your auth, your Anthropic API key within the .env file, and then I'll be testing this out. Right, so I've just added the key and now I'll be testing this out. Let's see how it goes. And hopefully the on press is given. I mean, that's for the chat widget. That is send message. Let's verify that. Yeah, it's given. So let me just give this a try. I'm just going to say, hey, suggest me a outfit for my date today, and I am a male. Let's see what exactly happens. If all we have done everything correctly, it should fetch our database and it should give all of the proper outfits with explanations and also the products as well, that is as suggestions to us. Let's say send, and boom, it's loading. Alright, so there is an issue on my side because I just checked out the backend. It says set the Anthropic API key environment variable or pass it via the Anthropic provider. So yes, there is an issue with respect to this. Let me just fix this up. And let's see where exactly it's, erroring out. Okay, so there is a bug over here. That is a typo. So this should be starts with, that is, a small s as well as a small w, but I had written it in camel case. So save the file. Let's give it one more try. Now the backend is running properly fine. And boom, just like that, as that got fixed, now we are able to see the perfect date night outfit for you. So here's the top recommendations with respect to this store. We have your baggy fit jeans, classic varsity bomber jacket, and your alternative also it is given, that is solid polo t-shirt, maroon, and baggy fit jeans for that, as well as a bomber jacket. And just like that, it is given all of the products as well, as we saw in the demo part of the video. It's giving properly fine. So once you press on this, it should actually take you to that specific product. There you go. You can add to cart and you can purchase that one. Come back over here, and obviously the history is going to be stored. You can also similarly check out other products as well, and everything is working smoothly fine, and it's completely scrollable too. Let's say I want to choose solid polo t-shirt. It's going to go to that specific product again. So you can also try to give different prompts. It's going to work properly fine. So I'm just going to say for female, let's press on enter. It's loading. And just like that, as you can see, it has loaded all of the female outfits based on the prompts we have given, and also it is given some description as well based on our products that we have in the database, and it has just gotten all of the details over here. So everything is working properly fine, crisp and clean. So yeah, we have completed a project end to end, and if you really found this video interesting, please hit the like button and do subscribe for more such content. And let's see you in the next project, and then thank you for watching.